Today, we want to remember those we lost to domestic violence and abuse. 8th of April 2022 was one of those iconic days, sad days in Nigeria, where we lost a very popular gospel singer, OSINACHI'S. I was one of the lawyers called into the case, and it was a tragic one. Today, I just choose to was her, her remembrance 2 days ago. Today, we just decide every year to dedicate the day she died to victims of domestic violence and abuse, those that we have lost. We would use this to honor them, that their names will not fade into time as if they never existed, that their walk through life will not pass across as something forgotten like sands that just sweep across the shore. They were here, they lived, they loved, they gave birth, but unfortunately, due to maybe religious or societal reasons, they chose to remain with an abusive partner. And today, let their life be a lesson to all, that once there is domestic violence and abuse, it is better to be alive than to be dead. They say living dog is better than a dead lion. Today we remember those that we lost. We dedicate one song to all. Please listen. So, very sadly, Osinachi Nwachukwu was born 12th November 1979 and died on the 8th of April 2022. She was 42 years old. She had left an abusive marriage for 1 year, 3 months, and then what they call a spiritual father, the pastor of a church, called her and told her to come back to the marriage. That as a Christian you cannot divorce, and as a gospel minister, which church will call you to come and start singing gospel songs when you are separated from your husband? Don't worry, your husband, all what he needs is mentorship. She was blackmailed into coming back because as a gospel singer, that was the source of her income. That was how she made money. She came back, and less than a year, probably a year after, she she died in a state of accumulated domestic violence and left about 4 children. Today, the husband is in prison, the wife is dead, the 4 children are scattered. We remember Nicholas Adetsev, a young man in Benue who worked with the Makurdi Local Government Council. He married his wife, Rachel. Neighbors always complained about them fighting and shoutings, and the wife will run out of the house with a pallet, or what do you call that, what they used to pound yam, smash the windscreen of his car, break his laptops, and it was a regular sight. And people told him to leave, that this woman will kill you one day. He refused. He said that he shouldn't worry, that they are praying about it. One day, in another spate of domestic violence, on the 4th of November 2018, the wife attacked him with a knife, killed him, and killed their 3 children, and killed herself. Both of them worked with the Makurdi Local Government Council. The neighbors, once again, hearing the voice of the man, it was normal. But this time, they heard something different. They started hearing the children screaming. And then suddenly the entire house went quiet. They banged on the door. They went to get the police. By the time the police got there, she had slaughtered her entire family and killed herself. We remember Titi Lola Arowolo, a staff of Skybank back then, who was married to a pastor, Akolade Arowolo, at Akindende Street in Solo. On the 24th of June, which was the birthday of her husband, every 24th of June holds a terrible memory for us. She had left an abusive marriage. She was the sole provider for the house as the husband was not working. She was the one that paid the rent. She was the one that dropped feeding money. She was the one that did everything. And a lot of times would go to the hospital to work with her swollen lip, a swollen eye, a black eye, swollen jaws. And at several times she was told to leave the marriage, especially by her father. He counted 10 different times she had left, came back, left, came back, left, came back. And eventually she left and did not go back to the marriage. We were happy. Only for some of those well wishers saying that, today is 24th of June, it's the birthday of your husband. Why don't you just go and say hello, say hi, greet him, happy birthday, and as a Christian, you should, it's not, you must not keep malice. Just go and wish him a happy birthday. And she got up, dressed her daughter up, and was about to go out when her father asked her, "Where are you going?" He said he wants to go and greet her husband happy birthday. The father took the child from her and said, "You can go by yourself, but don't take my granddaughter." And as she left, little did we know that that would be the last day that the father will see his daughter. right there on his birthday, beat her with a hammer and a knife, stabbed her 76 times, and then ran away. Neighbors heard the screams until they didn't hear her voice anymore and were wondering, maybe this girl has left. Next thing, they saw this gentleman trying to run, to escape, trying to run with the gate. He was covered in blood. He was arrested, tried, and has been sentenced to death by hanging. You know, in court, when he was being prosecuted, in his own defense, he said his wife was possessed with a spirit that each time she's angry, she would take things and start stabbing herself. So she was the one that stabbed herself 76 times. It took a professor of medicine to come and debunk that it is impossible for you to stab yourself 76 times from her head to her eyes, to her cheek, to her neck, to her chest, that she would have fainted from blood loss. But with testimony from witnesses, including neighbors, family, friends, he was found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. He's still in Kirikiri maximum security prison now. We remember Mrs. Akpan, Martha Akpan, on the 18th of October 2017, where her husband, Sunday Akpan, who was known for violence, threatened her, and this time he meant what he said, as he used a machete to cut her body into pieces, put her in a bag, and attempted to go and deposit the bag in the waste, in the, what do you call this place where everybody dumps their refuse, in the refuse dump. Because when people saw blood coming out, that he was, what is that? He said it was a goat, that he killed a goat and it was the. But why are you carrying? Is it all the goats you want to throw away? That was where Wahala started. He tried to run. They apprehended him. And when they opened, they found his wife cut in pieces. Right there. Monday, 11th July 2022 at Ikotun, Lagos, Mr. Oyelaki Olua Tobi Loba was arrested by the police for causing the death of his wife due to domestic violence and abuse. They were married just for 3 years with a 1-year-old daughter. The wife, Sophia, was also the breadwinner of the family, took care of all the responsibilities. He was always violent, checking her phone, accusing her of infidelity, until he beat her. This time, she did not get up. He was forced by the family of his dead wife to sleep with the corpse for 7 days before she was buried. On the 18th of July 2020, a pharmacist, Mrs. Esther, was killed by her husband and dumped inside the well in their compound. When neighbors noticed her absence, they asked her husband, where is Madame Esther now? She's not. He now broke down in tears. Said that she ran away with another man, leaving him with 4 kids to take care of. One day, not too long after, the neighbor went to fetch water from the well in their compound and noticed a body floating inside the water, raised the alarm, and when local vigilantes came in, they brought out the corpse. Behold, it was Esther. After much beating, he confessed to the crime. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just pointers to tell you how many. Last year, we lost over 300 women and 57 men in Nigeria to domestic violence and abuse. 2025 started again on a terrible note, where in January alone, over 10 cases of femicides, and femicides is the killing of women. That is what I would call some aspects of domestic violence and abuse. Both men and women who marry wrongly end up paying the price. If you marry wrongly, it is not compulsory that you must remain in a mistake. especially when your life is threatened. One thing we have seen in the repeated behavior of these people is that they will leave and then they will come back. They will leave, then they will come back. One thing we can also see is that these people were highly religious people. From OSINACHI to Nicholas to Titilayo, to Esther, highly religious people who thought that religion meant marriage, who thought that religion meant that you once married, you must die there, whatever the cost, even if at your own life. I remember when OSINACHI died, somebody posted on Facebook that she would receive the ultimate crown in heaven because she stuck to her belief, and this should be a lesson to all women to remain no matter what. That you can see great women of faith who stayed there till their marriage claimed their lives. I had to flag that account to see if the person was mentally stable. That this must have been someone who has lost different faculties of their brain. Marriage is not a cause or call to death. It is the opposite. One is supposed to be an advantage to the other. Both of them should have their problems shared and their lives an advantage. I need to talk to the religious people, people who find a way of using religion to cope with issues that border on child abuse, domestic violence, and abuse, and tell people to remain in an abusive marriage. In fact, statistics show that 87% of separations, domestic violence, and abuse and divorces are from Christian marriages. That is, Christians in marriage. Even at the Pew Research Center in Washington showed that 51% of divorces in America are from Protestant Christians. There is a problem with how religious people choose their spouses, and there's a problem with when they see that they have chosen wrong, their religion seems to sentence them into a life of abuse. So we now do not know the difference between long suffering and to suffer long. Both of them are not the same thing. Religious manipulations, where you think that your eternity, your future, your eternity, let me use the word eternity, that the way God will judge you is based on your marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no marriage in heaven, and what judgment is that you will pay for your actions, not for your marriage. Domestic violence and abuse, especially violence in the marriage, is not a family matter, it is a crime. And this has entrenched, it has been seated in our tradition right from time, that the response of tradition to domestic violence is settlement. You call olórí ẹbí 1, you call olórí ẹbí 2, both father and mother side, abi husband side and wife side to meet and then settle it, let us settle it. And then you send them back into the very problem that they just came out from. This is how tradition has systematically supervised the deaths of men and women over the years. Then there is never a time where you will find tradition telling you that, you know what, take back your bride price, we are no longer interested. Tradition always tends to settlement. You will find that for people who choose to allow tradition dictate the safety of their children or themselves, it's always a problem. There is a reason why we are educated. There is a reason why there are laws. A crime is not a family matter. Domestic violence and abuse is a crime. In the criminal code, it tells you that if you beat a woman, it is 2 years. If you beat a man, it is 3 years. The Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act, I think Section 19, tells you that any violence against your wife is 3 years imprisonment, and against the husband. It has been criminalized. So it is not a family matter. It is not a religious matter where you will come and say, okay, you want to pray, don't worry, we'll pray about it. What he needs is mentorship, we just do deliverance. It is not a matter of deliverance, it is a matter of character. Christianity is not your character. Christianity is the religion, your belief. You can be a Christian yet very hot-tempered. You can be a Christian or a Muslim and yet very violent. Your religion is not your character. The definition of religion is different from the definition of character. Character is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as the way a man thinks and behaves, where religion is a set of beliefs held by a particular set of people as sacred. The belief in a god or a system of gods, and all activities to worship that god or gods. The definition of religion is totally different from the definition of character. So do not use religion to judge character. Religion is not character. There needs to be a point in time where we know that enough is enough, especially to parents. Parents, your responsibility is the safety of your children. I wonder how parents can endure when your daughter comes home with a broken eye, or your son comes home with a knife mark on his body or his clothes torn, and then you say, don't worry, you know what, it will pass. You know what, let us, it is not the devil's work, it is a person's work, and it has a name. The person has a name, the act is a crime. But for you parents that keep sending your children back, you Olori Ebis and family members that are not going through what they are going through, but you keep sending them back into abuse. We had a case some years back. The woman was okay. By the time, the 2 year period, that the family decided that let us give them 2 years, let them try. If after 2 years it is not working, we go our separate ways. By the second year, the woman was completely blind in both eyes. The man said, I will be the last man you will see, and poured battery water in her eyes. You don't gamble with people's lives, telling them to go back, to go back, to go back. You don't send people into insecurity. You don't send them into places where their safety cannot be guaranteed. Marriage is not by force, it is by choice. I choose to be with you. There is no religion that tells you that you must die in marriage. It is not there. There is no religion that tells you that you must die there. Especially for those Christians, Proverbs 21:19 tells you it is better to dwell in the wilderness than in a house with a nagging and contentious wife. But we know that it is not only wife, we have husbands too. Nagging is abuse, contentious is physical, that is violence. That is the place where domestic violence and abuse was mentioned in that Bible. And it tells you what? To leave, to go into the wilderness. That is separate. Safety first for a living dog is better than a dead lion. I don't understand how religion can kill our children, how tradition also has become a child killer, where parents will be forced to bury their children because OSINACHI'S mother is still alive. Titi Arolo's parents are still alive, even her daughter is still alive, where parents are forced to bury their children in abuse. I will talk to the children themselves now. We have blamed, religion. We have blamed tradition. who cover the crime. They cover the crime. They are, taba sọ pé àríró ẹ̀rí a fi ń dẹ́rù bọ lọ́rọ̀ ni. So because we have seen death before, because we know what death is, it means we should kill all our children, we should kill ourselves. What do they mean by àríró ẹ̀rí a fi ń dẹ́rù bọ lọ́rọ̀? What do they mean by that? Is it that, okay, we have seen death before, and if it is death, cuckoo, go and die? But you see, they say love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself. You that are being abused, you need to understand that you chose to marry this person. And it is also your choice to leave the marriage. If it has started affecting your mental health, it has started causing you despair, anxiety, you can't sleep, headache, anger, provocation. You cannot marry your provocation. You cannot remain. One day somebody will kill somebody. Handle the case where one sickle seller, the husband was, and the wife will say, if I touch you, you know that you're a sickle seller. You know, you need to take it easy. But no, the gentleman, when he wants to fight, will go to the kitchen and bring 2 knives. He will give one, they have one daughter, and the man would always call the daughter to watch. Give one knife to the wife, give one knife and he will hold one. And will tell the daughter, today you would either be motherless or fatherless. And then he would attack. Wife will run, the wife would throw the knife down, until, the daughter, every night, this 7-year-old daughter, was it 8? Will go to the kitchen before the father starts and pack all the knives, the forks, any sharp object, pack it and come and pour on her bed, tie it with her bed sheet and sleep on it. And then you will find the husband shouting, who took this? Because it is about to start. This is how we traumatize our children right from birth. Men, it has been scientifically proven that men who beat their wives are mostly men that grew up watching their mothers being beaten by their father, an intimate partner, or a family member. So when you raise a child in abuse, you have increased the propensity to have an abusive adult. So that is how abuse is transmitted from one generation to the other. Now, when you keep remaining in an abusive home and giving birth there, raising children there, the children watching the abuse will just learn what you are teaching. And when they grow up, they marry their husbands, they marry their wives, and then they start showing the character of the home they came from. You say, But then it will be to whose shame, because you ought to have left. The first thing you ought to do is to protect the young children that you brought, taking them away from an abusive home. In every developed country, the moment abuse, domestic violence has been established, the state will take away the children in the home. They have different homes for these kinds of children. Why? So that they do not grow up to become their fathers. They will not grow up to become their mothers. But in Nigeria, they will say, nítorí ọmọ. That means you should go back because of the children. The children are now the main excuse used to glue people in abusive marriages together, not knowing that you guys are just destroying the future and the life of the child. You watch it. Go to secondary schools, even in primary schools. Looking at the way children behave, you already know those that come from violent homes, abusive homes, and those that come from calm homes, peaceful homes. It always shows in the character, in the vocabulary. It shows in the demeanor of the children. You will know that this one is from an abusive home. You would see how they behave. You see how they fight at the slightest provocation. You see how they curse. Today, every year, 8th of April, I dedicate to the memory of those that we have lost in our families to domestic violence and abuse, those we have lost in our state due to the abuse from their spouses, people that they chose to love, and those that we have lost as a country. 2016 was when Shija carried out a research in Nigeria and found and published in their findings that Nigeria loses an average of 300 to 350 women annually to domestic violence and abuse in the hands of their spouses and their lovers. January, third week of January, one Mr. Ganiyu set his girlfriend ablaze at Yabi Park in Abuja, a garage, a car park, poured petrol and lit. That they were not even married, though, just boyfriend, girlfriend, a vulcanizer. The audacity of abuse. Now, your reaction to abuse the first time will determine if there would be a next time. The moment you settle with abuse, abuse always defies all agreements. The moment you agree to remain, it will repeat. But the moment you stand to leave abuse, that is the last day you will be abused. That saying, Ojotobari Binibin Wale. The day you say enough is the day enough will be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening to me, in 2021, constant, that is the statistics yearly, had already given a projection. Our NGO had already said 2025, that by 2025, the Christian or simple woman in Nigeria will more likely die from her marriage and its complications than any natural illness. From 2021, we had released that statistic. And from the first week of January, it was so usually abuse rises in Nigeria by the month of March. This time, by January, we had lost almost 30 women in 1 month. Those are the ones that we could even find. You know, social media, there is no, we trust our government. The government has no statistic. They have no records. So the record that exists are those that are compiled by various NGOs and research centers. It is getting worse. For those of you that might be listening to me, and you are in this kind of abuse, in this kind that when the gate opens and your tormentor comes, whether male or female, your heart is already palpitating. You don't know which one will happen again today. Listen, it's just a matter of time before you join the likes of OSINACHI'S, and there are times it is high blood pressure. Psychosomatic illnesses, they will look at you, they will check you, they will say you are biologically okay, but what they call a psychosomatic illness is an illness of the mind. Anxiety. Some people, their heart just keeps beating, irregular beats because of fear, because of anxiety, migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, lack of sleep, lack of appetite. Why? Because you are unhappy. Depression is the next major cause of death. And the meaning of depression, it simply means prolonged sorrow. When you are sad, you wake up every morning looking at that person you call wife, that person you call husband, and you shake your head that this was a monumental mistake. And but no, it is tradition. Oh, we don't leave marriage, oh, you must die there. Oh, I'm a Christian. That annoys me each time someone comes to report. And I will tell them, did you go to report at the police station? So that there must be evidence that, listen, you have reported this person at a point in time for abuse. They say, no, I'm a Christian. Does Christianity mean stupidity? I'm a devout Muslim. What does that mean? In a crime, what does that mean? And then we also come to visit your funeral. Lots of people. We have a lady who this same thing happened to, came to my office. It must be about 6 to 7 years ago. Tall, dark, but had dark glasses on. Tall, fair, but had dark glasses on. But looking at her, I said, "This will be very beautiful." I said, how can I help you? Sat down, but I became very uncomfortable inside because we were inside my office and she had these dark shades on. And I said, please, is it possible you remove the shades? She said, is it bothering me? I said, yes. She said, it's not, it's there for a reason. I said, I can't concentrate on what you are saying because if we were outside, it's different. We are in my office. There's no need for. When she took out the shades, I almost told her to put it back on. Her face, fair in complexion people, if you touch them, their skin already has changed color. I looked at the swelling and I said, what is this? She said, that's what she's here to discuss. I said, you have to leave, you will go blind. One of your eyes is bloodshot, the other swollen and black. What is this? Said that her husband, whenever he's angry, it is her eyes, the face that he targets with punches, and he would hold her hands and start punching her on the face. Said, madam, you need to leave. And, after talking to her, she was encouraged and said she would leave because you are too, a professional. Married someone who was so insecure about everything, jealous, be looking at her phones. Anytime she comes late, it is a problem. There can't be traffic. You have gone there. Who is that with you? He was always jealousy drove him mad because he married a beautiful woman. I told her to leave, which we had planned that on one Wednesday, he would go to work because he only goes to work 3 days a week and all that, and she would pack. So that Wednesday, I was expecting that, okay, she would have left. I didn't hear from her Wednesday. I didn't hear from her Thursday. I now called on Friday, and she said, she picked up and said, sorry about that, too, that she wanted to even call me, but that she was at a program. And I said, I'm sure you have left. And she said, not exactly. So that she discussed our plan with her pastor, and they said that her pastor is very powerful, and said that if she could fast for 3 weeks. So, this man, whatever demon is leading him, would leave and he would change. So she's on that fast. In fact, that's why she has been at that program, unable to call me that, this fasting, it's dry fast, that she takes only water, and then, around 9, a loaf of that, around 9 p.m., a loaf of bread, no oil, no pepper, no. I said, you are fasting for 3 weeks. That's the solution. Said, yes, that it is a spiritual matter. Said, okay. 3 weeks, 7 times 3, I think, is 21. On the 19th day, I don't know what happened. We got into this trouble again. They stay on the second floor. So the man, as usual, she had known something was, the way he was provoking, going on. So she tried to run out of the house. The man had locked the door. He started beating her. She now ran into the balcony. The balcony is, a sliding glass, the type that the sliding glass you just pull, and she ran into the balcony and closed the sliding door. It's the glass door. And the man said, open. She said, no. The man now went, carried a chair and threw at the glass. That's how the glass smashed outward into the woman. apart from the glass going through her, the chair also landed on her, pushing her down from the second floor. She did not land on the ground, she landed on the fence. Immediately, her spinal cord snapped. She's alive, but the husband ran away. Now he's in Canada and remarried. The woman is paralyzed from her neck downwards. And when they were telling me, I said, there's no problem. And, the mother was like, what can they do? I said, they should go and meet the pastor. Who said that 7 I'll be 21? They should go and meet the pastor. Now, that pastor is in his house with his own children, but you have lost a child. The girl was paralyzed from her neck downwards. She cannot control her stooling. She cannot control the urination. People have to feed her. I don't know if she's still alive now. But what happened? Leave. No, somebody said, come and fast for 21 days. As if you are the problem. Why are you the one to be fasting for another person's character flaw? You make yourself the issue. You put it on yourself, and that is what religion and tradition does. They put it on you that it is now your responsibility to make a violent man not violent, to make a jealous woman not jealous. It is not your problem. Let Kiele Ruberue. We have barely 10 more minutes. Today is a solemn day for me of deep introspection. We could, for those that might want to reach out.
All right. This is quite touching and emotional. It's sad how many people we've lost to these kinds of issues and lost on a daily basis. But if you want to join the conversation, you can please call our numbers 07000 and you can also call 09155 Then our toll free number is also open. That's 0800 to join the conversation on Safe Space today. You mentioned something that during the month of March, starting from the month of March, the rate of violence is usually increased. Is there a reason why that happens? So people can probably avoid that from happening because it's so sad to drop your wife from. Like, I just wonder, is it that the love they had for each other at the beginning of the relationship is no longer there? Because I really cannot phantom the reason why you want to love someone so much and suddenly you are beating and injuring to the point of throwing someone down from the second floor. That's so I don't even know what to call it.
We noticed this about a decade ago, about 10 years ago, that March, the month of March, that's why I respect March. I don't just call it March. I say the month of March is where it controls the curve of domestic violence in the year. That is, if domestic violence rises in the month of March, it never comes down. It keeps going until November. So for years, all we had to do was to watch the month of March. Then we know if it is going to be a bloody year, and it has always, it kept going up, until 2021, when we saw that at this rate, there is no curve anymore. It is now going to extend to January by 2025. And we had announced it. And true to that research, first week 2025, the killings started, the abuse started, the random, unneeded, unwanted, unwarranted deaths started to pile up.
But I feel that in relationships, there should be signs of violence.
Of course.
So why do we avoid these things and just go ahead? Of course. You've seen the signs that this person has tendencies of anger issues or
let me just answer that question. So several times during, you see, a lot of, especially in the Christian faith, they don't date. they believe in courtship.
Courtship.
They will say, God told me that this is my
My wife.
husband. God told me that this is. And so their marriages are not a matter of character, it is a matter of
God
instruction.
said. Yes.
That it has now put a duty on you to do what God said. That's how a pastor will say, God told me that this is your, and then you get people. So, believe me, we saw one while they were still doing, and immediately they go to what? Marriage counseling.
Yes, marriage counseling.
They don't even get to know each other.
Yes.
They just go immediately to marriage counseling and
they
then
pick a wedding date and
you
that's
now
it.
start, guy slapped her outside and immediately, and the girl said, no, leave him. I know he's hot tempered, but we are praying about it.
Oh God.
So that is where it is. A lot of them saw it, believe they can change it, they will pray about it, it will change. Don't worry. And some fanatic will keep putting in their heads that, oh, don't worry, he will change. They will change.
All right, we have a call now. Hello, good evening. Hello? I can't hear you. The network is quite bad. Please do well to call me back. 07000 917 and you can also call 09155 917 Our toll free number is 0800 to be a part of the conversation. So I don't know why. I don't know why we just allow ourselves get injured, punctured, all for the sake of religion or church. God Himself gave us brains to think. That's what I believe. God gave you a mind to think. He gave you a heart to make choices. Why would you? Yeah, why would you think that God that loves you would allow someone beat you like that?
You don't know the extent of religious conditions where you are being told that this is the will of. They don't even that there are churches that you don't even know. They go and meet a marriage committee.
Yes.
And then you tell them that, okay, I like you and they are deciding on you and you don't even know about it. Then they call the woman, ask for her blood type, ask if she's in a relationship, ask for this, ask for that. And then when you answer, they now tell you that, well, there is something. So you know that there's someone interested in you, but you don't know who it is. Then you start attending that's their marriage counseling, but you don't know who it is yet.
Hello, good evening.
I think please reduce the volume
of your radio. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Lekon. Go ahead. Thank you for calling. Oh wow, Mr. Lekon, we can't hear you again.
Okay, we actually lost that call, but this is another one. Hello, good evening. Your network is still bad. I can't hear you.
Oh wow. Can you reduce the volume of the radio? Network.
Network is not favoring us.
Network is abusing us. This is domestic violence and abuse by our network provider.
Oh God, I just hope that people they get to think more. And if you actually have a relationship with God, I don't think you'll be that gullible to just make choices that would.
You see, the God factor, I believe, Christ came to die for sins. He didn't come to instill marriage. He never married. There is a separation between your marriage and your salvation. There is no marriage in heaven, you know that. It's in Matthew 22. There is no marriage. So it means marriage is an earthly institution which ends the moment your life on earth ends. So you don't make it a matter of eternity that your marriage would be the conduit or the platform of your and that is religious conditioning that makes it, oh, you have chosen this but whatever it is, It's night market. They don't even teach you how to. But then the others out there who are not religious, they will
They look
they look
critically, yes. They
before
don't
they
they live. They
say,
don't
oh,
just
why is it that the bad girls have the good guys? They are smarter.
hmm, hmm,
They can tell a bad guy from 10 kilometers.
hmm,
They can spot a good guy from another continent. They don't even need to be.
to
They
be there
know.
with you.
And while you are, they will swoop in. They don't need your permission as long as he's single. You now say, he collected my. They could identify. While you are still waiting for prophecy, they have already gone to meet what they believe is a good man. Wisdom is profitable to direct.
Yes.
It means that you need knowledge because wisdom is the execution of knowledge. Without knowledge, there can be no wisdom. You need to teach people what to run away from, how to identify.
So sad.
Well,
It is well. It is really well with us in this
I
country.
think we have
We
barely
have
2 minutes.
Yes. So because you are a Christian doesn't mean you cannot think, or doesn't mean you don't have a brain to detect when something is wrong. You can see that this person has bad tendencies. Is that how you want to spend the rest of your life?
I will change him.
Please.
I
You
will
can't
change
change
her.
anyone. We don't have the
No, it's a
right
matter of
to
prayer,
change anyone. Even if you want,
deliverance.
yeah, even if you want to change anyone, make sure they change before you get married to them. This is a
It is
lifetime
not
thing.
your job to
You
change
can't even
anybody.
change anyone.
And you want to change me to what?
You can't. It's not in your power to change anyone.
God
So
has not,
please.
God has not changed them.
So
It is
it is you
you
that is
that
a
wants to
human.
change.
Come
Yes.
on. Please, let's make better choices moving forward with our marriages and our lives. And I really hope for the best for everyone. This is Safe Space on Your Women Radio 91.7. And it has been a very enlightening and interesting conversation this evening. Barrister, do you have any final words for us?
Uh, Final words will be: if you're in an abusive marriage, leave. Leave. It's simple. Leave. Be at peace. Leave. Pack your children away from an abusive partner.
And go.
Simple.
All right. Thank you so much for every single person who listened today. This is your Women Radio 91.7. Until next week, stay blessed. Are you allowed? We need to buy 10. Thank you. Yeah, I'm right here.
Thank you very much, and see you next week.